I don't know how many of the homies know this, but you and I actually, along with the homie Oz and the homie Kevin, we actually had a Hot Ones challenge. We did the Hot Ones challenge like 2 years ago. We did all the sauces and everything, and we talked about how later this year we're going to do that again. Well, I was at the gas station on the way over here, and they now have Hot Ones Pringles for some of the different sauces, and I thought for a cold open that we could try them out.
See, every time I think that you're just concerned or looking out for me, it's always some nefarious bullshit that comes with it. Because the first time was when you did the surprise episode with the worst comic book characters bracket.
Yep.
And you were like, yeah, man, I'm worried I got my notes and everything. I'm like, oh, cool. He brought notes for season 3 review.
Yeah,
that's fine. And then all of a sudden, I smell those from here. And then, homies, before we started recording here tonight, he looked over at me and said, yeah, man, you ready to go? You got your drinks? In all the years of this podcast existence, he's never once been concerned if I had a drink or not.
Never. But hey, at least I wasn't going to let you eat one of these on air with no drink. I don't actually know. So there's not like a heat index or anything on here. This is one of the Los Calientes, so it can't be one of the ones in the back half. So I think we should be okay.
Uh-huh.
You want the top one or you want the second one? I'll let you pick.
Let me see. I'll take the top one.
Yeah, because the top one don't look like it's got that much seasoning on it.
Unless like the bottom half of it is just loaded.
It's just caked. Okay. All right, folks. We've never tried these before. This is the Hot Ones Pringles. They're brand new, not a sponsor. 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
All right.
That it's actually got a pretty decent flavor to it.
It does.
It do got a bite though.
There was a kick.
I don't think I'd sit here and eat like a whole thing of these.
Yeah, no. These are good diet Pringles.
Yeah, this is not a once you pop, you just can't stop. Like I could stop right here, and I think I shall. But, yeah, that's
not shabby.
No, it don't taste bad at all.
Yeah, and I feel like we could have discussed this before. The mics came on, but it's cool.
No, it's much better this way. It's infinitely better this way. If like, you also should become suspicious of I got a cold open.
You know? But you've been on a cold open roll lately, so in my mind I'm thinking, cool. He's got something else.
Yeah, something's pissed him off in the last 48 hours since we've recorded. Here, Junior, I'll let you.
Yeah, don't let him grab me though.
I mean, if he wants to eat the whole thing, that's on him.
He's gonna give him bad diarrhea.
You're gonna have to change his diaper later. I won't be here.
Damn. Sucks having full custody.
You're right. Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, that wasn't as bad. I guarantee you, like when you get close to the bottom of that pile.
Oh God.
Because like the heat is still kind of lingering.
It is. Right here. It's still. So it's got like the first thing you get is just the hot, and it's got a kick, and then you get a nice kind of little vinegary little flavor, and then the chip leaves and the heat just kind of stays.
Yeah, I imagine for a company like Pringles, you don't want to make a product too spicy because you want people to keep eating the chips. Well, surprise hot Pringles aside.
Yeah.
There was a quick cold open that I had, something that I just saw here recently. But to get here, we're going to have to take a drive around the block, metaphorically speaking, not literally.
Oh, no. Is this a bear with me here?
A little bit of it. Was more of a take a stroll with me more than a bear with me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I'm ready.
Yeah. So there's an infamous Spider-Man story. I think it came out in around 2007 called One More Day. I don't know if you're familiar with the story or not. It always makes the rounds online in different comic book communities and groups and whatnot. People love discussing the story, or they love not discussing the story because it's not very good. It was written in parts by a guy named J. Michael Straczynski, who was actually a very talented writer, very underrated comic book writer. I have his entire Spider-Man run, and his run is great. I think that his run is perfect if you're the type of person who wants like a good Peter Parker, Martin run. I might just refer you to that run. But as you have said a time or two on this podcast, they only remember the finish.
And I have heard of Spider-Man. Continue.
Okay, so you heard he wears like the red and
the spider outfit.
Yeah. Because I thought you might get him confused with Daredevil, and I didn't.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, I almost got him confused with the weird spider tribe from Madam Web.
I don't know where you get that from.
Yeah,
I guess
that one's on me.
Yeah. One More Day wasn't Mr. Straczynski's idea to do this story. This was on the Marvel editorial team.
Oh, they only make good choices.
Always. And what this story is all about is, long story short, spoiler alert, this shit came out like back when we was first out of high school.
Right.
It was a long time ago.
Real long time ago. It wasn't quite 94.
Yeah,
but.
no. But someone, Peter Parker's identity is leaked. I think this is around the time of Civil War, and so like identities were made known.
Right.
He had already unmasked. But someone tries to kill Aunt May. Or they try to kill Peter, I think, but they end up getting Aunt May. Bam, she's shot. And Peter does not take kindly to this at all. But to save her life, he goes to various different places. Obviously, the hospital, they have her and they're treating her and they're taking care of her, but things aren't looking good. He goes to Reed Richards. I mean, if you're going to go someplace that has like modern technology and medicine, Reed Richards is probably the guy you want to go see.
Right.
And if Reed Richards says there's nothing I can do for her, there's probably nothing he can do.
You pretty much got to go to another dimension or time travel.
Right. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. He goes to Doctor Strange. And Strange is like, this is out of my control, Peter. There's nothing we can do here. And it's been a while since I read this story. I think she got shot here. It might have been natural cause, but I'm pretty sure there was like an assassination attempt. Regardless, she's dying.
Right. And
there's nothing that Peter can do. And so what does Peter Parker do? Peter Parker, the hero, the man who people have read for decades and look up to and in some cases idolize. What does he do? Well, he's approached by Mephisto.
Oh, no.
And Mephisto says, well, I can give you your aunt's life back and to make it just the way that it was before, no problem. And Peter's like, all right, but I feel like you're going to want something.
You're right.
And he's like, oh, I do.
Yeah.
So,
it's
yeah.
funny you should mention that.
As a matter of fact, Peter. So you know how you're married to Mary Jane? I want that. And Peter's like, you want to be married to me? No, bitch.
That'd be an interesting arc.
It would be, right? Like
they just got the Amazing Spider-Man and Mephisto. I kind of want it now, actually.
I mean, there's some pros to that, I'm sure. Being married to the devil.
I just immediately picture it like when Satan was married to Saddam Hussein in South Park.
Peter, you never talk to me anymore.
Yeah. You're always out web slinging.
But I guess in the essence, he wants the love and the connection that Mary Jane and Peter have. And so he's basically asking Peter to sacrifice that and make it so that Peter and Mary, they never married and they weren't in any kind of long-term relationship ever, and make it so that they're damn near perfect strangers. And that Peter agreed to that. And so that killed that entire relationship that those two characters have had for decades.
Forever, yeah.
And the fan base was not happy.
Oh, I bet not.
They were not happy. This was in '07, and people still talk about it today. And fast forward to, I think, late last year, and it was Jonathan Hickman. He was the lead writer on this particular book when the Ultimate comic books are resurrected. And so Ultimate Spider-Man is brought back, and that universe is brought back. And here we see Peter Parker. He's older now. He looks like he's maybe in his early 30s. He's got a beard. Looks like Andrew Garfield. Things are great. He's married to Mary Jane. They have a kid, and the fans love it, and the book sells like hotcakes. And it is a tremendous victory for Marvel, a victory for the readers, and people are so very happy and ecstatic that these two are together. Even if it's not in the 616, it's cool to see the Ultimate Comics come back, and it's cool to see these two characters together again. And it was recently brought up to a Marvel Comics executive about like the whole relationship between Peter and Mary Jane. And this is really where the cold open comes into play here. This article just came out, and it was an interesting quote here that I just want to read here really quickly. When they were asked about the idea of Mary and Peter. And says, Marvel Comics executive editor rejects the idea that Peter Parker and MJ should get back together due to the popularity of Ultimate Spider-Man, saying, quote, "It doesn't really make a convincing argument to me at all." I think that is a very interesting viewpoint to say that, yeah, we know that like for years fans have been asking for this, and we know that when we gave it to them in a form, the book sold very well and still sells very well. However, I don't really see the correlation between that and increasing book sales. It's just it's a symptom of a larger thing and creatives and in storytelling. Just the idea that if you're going to make something, right, and where people consume, then the consumers, especially if they're paying money for it, have a right to say, hey, we think that we want this. You don't have to do it. You're not beholden to do it, but it might be in everybody's best service if you provide them with the thing that they want. And they provide you with the thing that you want, which is money.
Yeah, the thing about that, right, is I see it from both sides because on the one hand, when you're dealing with these large, corporate IPs, right, and this is kind of a larger discussion, but when you're dealing with these big IPs, it's like, obviously your goal is to make money while also protecting the integrity of the IP, Kathleen.
It's a weird shout out to her.
Yeah. But the obviously the objective to make money, protect the integrity of the IT. But on the other hand, on the other side of that, as the creative, as soon as you start to try to make something specifically so that it will be popular, it kind of cheapens that, right? So there's this very fine line that you have to walk. And I feel like in this day and age, especially with popular, like, mega franchises, Marvel, Star Wars, DC, that kind of thing, I feel like that path is narrower and narrower, right? Because people want new. They don't want the same shit they've seen.
Right.
But they also don't want it to be too different and too unfamiliar, because if you make it unfamiliar enough, then it's not the thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like with superheroes in particular, it's like, as long as you, and we've harped on this extensively, as long as you can maintain the integrity of the character, right? Like, you look at all the different iterations of Batman that there have been, and with absolute Batman selling like fucking hotcakes, they've completely changed everything about Bruce Wayne other than who he is. It's still Bruce Wayne, but in a different set of circumstances. Right. He wasn't born rich. He didn't have a butler, so on and so forth. But he's still, at his core, he is Bruce Wayne. And I think that's why it's so successful, is because it's a different take, but it's the same person. But it's interesting that you brought up Mary Jane because I don't know if you've seen the rumors that have been flying around. But
Sadie?
Yeah, that Sadie Sink has been cast in Spider-Man 4 as either Mary Jane or Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Now, to me, having Jean Grey in that movie is a weird fucking concept. Like, I'm not saying that they couldn't do it. I don't know why you would do it. That's weird. Like, I think she'd be great at either of the roles. I'd possibly rather see her as Jean, to be honest. But not in that movie.
It would be a very weird thing to just have Jean Grey randomly be in Spider-Man 4. Yeah, so I can just imagine being in that boardroom meeting for Spider-Man 4, being like, cool, all right, so we know we got to have some cool cameos. Tell me how much Daredevil we got. And they're like, we forgot about him. But
however, get this, Sadie Sink, Jean Grey. It's like, yeah, that would be a great Jean Grey casting, but we're talking about Spider-Man 4 right now.
Yeah. In this one.
Like, no. What would you think about her as MJ, though?
I'm confused because I'm like, don't we already have an MJ?
Right. I was like, why don't we like, y'all ain't about to phase out Zendaya, right? Like what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's bizarre. Like, I expected, like, maybe a Gwen.
Right, yeah.
But Mary Jane is just redundant.
Which one of them is weirder at this point?
Yeah. So I saw that rumor floating around, and I didn't know what to think of it.
It could all just be bullshit.
It could all be bullshit. Do you think that Sadie has actually spoken with someone at Disney for a Marvel role?
I mean, I hate to, like, just typecast, but it's like if you want a talented redhead, you don't have a ton of options.
This is true.
And you got to look at her popularity in Stranger Things, right? Like, she's not one of the original characters, but she's still one of the... her popularity is right up there with the original characters.
Oh, yeah.
And that's hard to do. She's my favorite Stranger Things character. So I would love to see her in either one of the roles, but both of them don't make any sense to me for a Spider-Man 4.
They don't. I feel like we don't know what they're going to do for the X-Men yet. And I don't know how much Marvel knows what they're going to do for the X-Men yet.
Yeah.
But to cast Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, it automatically would mean a whole lot of other things.
Yeah.
Meaning that, okay, so the X-Men are going to be on the younger side.
Yeah.
It would mean that...
Well, they should be, in my opinion.
I mean, I guess it depends on, like, you think they should be teenagers or you think they should be...
Well, isn't she like 22?
I mean, yeah, but they typically cast the 22-year-old to play the 17-year-old.
That's true, but I mean, you got to think, if they cast her right now, by the time they actually shoot an X-Men movie, she'd be like 25, 26.
So, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, she does have kind of like childlike features either way, but I don't know. I think maybe if she's in the movie just in a cameo role, like, that would be fine, you know?
Yeah.
Something like that.
There's just so many questions about it, though. Like,
yeah.
If it was just a cameo role, why are you casting for it now? For a Jean Grey specifically now?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah, all of it's weird. Yeah. Well, unless it's going to be... So we don't know. It could be for a post-credits.
It could be. Is Peter going to hear about this school in upstate New York and...
Go check it out?
Go check it out.
In that case, you got to cast a lot of people.
Yeah, a whole lot of people. Or maybe he just drives up to the gate and then there's just a Jean Grey. It's a Deadpool scenario where, like, oddly enough, no one's over here.
I was just thinking, like, the plot of Spider-Man 4 is Deadpool kidnaps Jean Grey and Peter Parker has to go and get her back.
That is a very weird plot. I would watch it.
Yeah. I would totally. I'm down. Junior, he's up for it.
Well, he's always up for it.
Yeah.
But man, that would really throw me for a fucking loop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it would make $1 billion. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
And it would be the most confused $1 billion market of all time.
That's true.
Yeah. like, yeah, there's just too many questions to even go down that rabbit hole right now.
Yeah, no, we can't. We have to spend half an episode on that.
At least, minimum.
But I am glad we brought that up because we don't have time to do comic news anymore because for two reasons. Number one, we just don't have time because we're doing so many episodes. And the other one being that we have to pay that dude every time.
Yeah. I don't even want to hit that button anymore.
Right, yeah. Ever since you figured out he got paid by the button press,
I haven't pressed it since then, and the committee could have told us that, but whatever. Well, that being said, homies one and all, we are here for a very special reason, and I'm sure you guys are here for that same reason, and that is to discuss the latest episode of Daredevil, which is episode 3. But before we get started, proper introductions are in order, so homies one and all, I would like to welcome you to a very special episode of the Superhero Homies Podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I am here with the man of every single hour. He got so much drip right now, I got to mop my whole floor, talking about none other than the homie Caleb.
What's going on, man? It has been quite a time. I feel like we just did this. We just got done reviewing the first half of season 1 of Andor. We're getting ready for season 2 to come out. It's an exciting time. Lots of TV this year. Lots of superhero movies this year. I feel like after we had a bit of a lull, now it's wide open.
Between the pandemic and the writer strike, there's been a lot of setbacks and delays.
Oh yeah.
Now it feels like we're finally getting back on the right track.
Yeah, I was reading the thing today about Brave New World and how they're thinking it's just going to kind of barely break even, and but the article went on to talk about it's still a win for Marvel, for the MCU, because they get to sell toys and use those characters in other properties, and that kind of got me thinking about kind of the management of these massive IPs, and yeah, that's kind of how it is, man, for the MCU. Even if they come out with a box office dud or something that doesn't just wow them, there's still a lot of plus for them on the back end, the streaming services, all that stuff. So hats off to Disney and their massive list of IPs, where it's if you just go make a movie, just a standalone movie, it's got to live and die at the box office now,
Yeah.
And speaking of box office successes, this is not necessarily at the box office, but I don't know if you saw the news. The premiere of Daredevil had 7.5 million viewers.
Damn.
And it is the Disney Plus record already for any program that's ever been on Disney Plus.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
It kind of brings me right back around to what you were talking about, where you were like, hey, if the fans keep telling you that they want this thing. And I'm so glad that Kevin Feige went in there and fired everyone and made them redo the show.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because there were so many different options, so many different ways things could have gone. They could have just ignored the fans' plea for Daredevil. And they could have just left it on the cutting room floor, or they could have done what almost happened, which is we could have got something awful.
Yeah. Since we're here, full tilt spoilers for everything up to and including episode 3 of Daredevil Born Again, season 1.
Yes. But first, a quick intermission. I'm going to need you to hold on to the fort, Caleb. I left my notes out in the living room.
Oh.
And if I bother to take notes, I have to use them.
You have to use them. That's correct. Oh, I can filibuster. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, so while he's doing this, I'm just going to serenade you guys. I might need another one of these chips.
Oh, no.
We'll see what happens. I'm actually not going to do that. I ate a really big meal on the way over here. But that's right, folks. After this 25-minute opening, we're going to actually get into Daredevil Born Again. As a matter of fact, on the way over here, I actually mentioned, I was like, it's 42 minutes of television, so we'll probably talk about it for about an hour and a half. Welcome back.
Why, thank you.
I was filibustering.
It's not that I didn't trust you to filibuster for long, but, I just figured I'd hurry back.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
I was just, just telling them about born again and all that. So
Yeah, I didn't even know the religious type, but
yeah, of
I'm
course.
happy for you.
Yeah, the Church of Matt Murdock.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh man. So episode 3,
titled "The Hollow of His Hand."
It's a very nice, interesting title. Mm-hmm. What's your overall thoughts about this episode?
I thought it was another banger.
Me too. Yeah, yeah. For an episode that doesn't have Daredevil in it, I thought they knocked it out of the park here. I hate to jump ahead.
Yeah.
But Officer Who? They keep throwing these little Spider-Man winks in here.
Wait. For who?
So when they're so you didn't catch this. That's crazy. So when they're in the courtroom and they're going over all of the people that have testified, like have signed affidavits and whatnot to talk positively about White Tiger, one of the officer names that he rattles off is Officer Morales.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, folks. Marvel went right over his head.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I'm so not used to that happening that I had my guard down, I guess.
It was everything I could do not to message you immediately, but I was like, oh, that's last night when I messaged you, I was like, you watched the episode yet? Oh. That's what it was about, because I was like, Officer Who? Motherfucker. Like, I had to go back because I missed the next couple seconds because I was like, they said that thing? He said that thing?
Well, you know what, though? It's like, this goes back again to a conversation we had a while ago.
Yeah.
And that is but Miles' dad last name is not Morales.
I think there's so I was looking at that, and apparently I think that there's some version of him
that is okay,
where someone picked up on that and was like, hey.
Yeah. But regardless of that, is a great catch. I didn't even register with me.
And even so, they could always just change it in the MCU.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Or they could have just both people's name be Morales, like Sony would do, and then not explain that at all.
Yeah. Homies, we've joked about this enough, but seriously, in so many Sony products, for them to own Spider-Man, they just bothered to look into him none. Yeah. It seems.
It's the Chewbacca defense. This shit just don't make no damn sense.
This does not make sense. Like, Madam Web, who's related to who? Yeah. I'm like, how does this family tree work here? Who's Parker? Whose last name is Parker here?
We talked about how the reports, were that for any live action television rights, Sony still has all of that. Mm-hmm. And so it's very unlikely that Spider-Man of any nature or Peter Parker or anybody could appear in Daredevil. But, I mean, I know that Bendis is the executive producer. It's like, how many, Disney could have just put that news out there. They could have seeded that just to have everybody be like, oh, well, he won't be in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just got with Sony and been like, well, what if we just tell the people on the internet that it's in the contract that he can't be in there? And then later on, we put him in.
Yeah.
The Earth will explode if Spider-Man shows up.
I feel like that is almost too big of a thing for them to keep on the wraps. That's huge.
The only reason that I could see them keeping it under wraps is if when it happens, it's going to be completely CGI. Yeah. They get Tom's voice. Because if Tom Holland stepped onto this set for half a second, yeah, it would literally be like if Peter Parker walked out, the press would be everywhere.
Right. Yeah, that would be an incredible meeting when those two actually meet for the first time.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I really need a lawyer, and you represented me before. I'm sorry, kid, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I've never met you a day in my life.
Well, oh yeah, that's right, because he doesn't know who Peter Parker is at all. He completely forgot.
Yeah.
No, I'm Spider-Man. No, you're not, man. I represented Spider-Man one time. You're not him.
Yeah. He will listen to his heartbeat, though. You think you're Spider-Man.
Yeah, you do. That's weird. You should probably get that checked on.
Oh, shit. Well, let's get into this episode proper.
Yeah.
There were, even though there wasn't like a ton of action in this episode, there was a lot that went down.
Yeah, man, I think the NYPD might be crooked.
No. That's I mean, again, like, you really have to put on like your suspension of disbelief in order to
Oh, okay. You're right. You're
to
right.
get into this.
You're right.
Come on. The NYPD, bruh. Did you hear about the NYPD officer who was busting it wide open on the internet in like a rap video?
No.
She was fine as hell. God damn.
Really?
Yeah, dog. Yeah. She wasn't in uniform, which is why she didn't get in trouble. But yeah, homies, you should go check that out. It's interesting. But yeah, episode 3, The Hollow of His Hand. This episode starts off with Matt promising Hector that when this is all said and done, Hector will be reunited with his family and be able to return to Puerto Rico. And, you know, Hector's talking about these tree frogs that live in his hometown that tourists would get aggravated at, but he loved the sound of those frogs and the noises that they make. And he's just reminiscing, and Matt's just trying to provide him with some comfort here. So at this point in the episode, it's the very start of it. What were you thinking about Hector's fate?
Yeah, so the first thing we kind of get here is them trying to get Cherry's trying to get what's the guy's the witness? Tyler? Nikki. Trying to get him to the courthouse. And the little bait and switch that they did was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because like Cherry just opens up the van and he's like, "Go ahead, like look at whatever you're trying to look at." And then we get the switcheroo that he actually was in another car, and that was cool. But yeah, I mean, I guess the NYPD got to him, and he got nervous and like recanted his statement. And at that point, I was like, "They're fucked."
I guess I meant like at the beginning of the episode here, like when Matt and Hector were talking. Did you have any thoughts about like
when just the two of them were chatting?
Yeah.
Well, at this point, Matt's like really confident. I think that he's going to get him off. And so
get him off the case, not
right. Yeah. I mean, he's in prison. He probably find someone else to get him off. But yeah, I mean, at this point, like Matt makes you feel like he's going to get away with it because he feels like he's going to get away with it.
Yeah, that kind of confidence always has me worried, though.
Oh, yeah, it's like in the first episode when they were all having a good time and laughing and everything. Like, well.
Yeah, things happen.
But, he is a damn good lawyer.
He is a really good lawyer.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, so I meant to ask you this last episode, too. What are your thoughts on, like, the new intro and the score that we got going on?
I like it. Because it echoes the intro from the Netflix series. It's not
the blood pouring.
It's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it's really close. It's the same tone and feel. And I like the whole thing about this where the statue is like coming back together because it's basically that they're kind of rebuilding Daredevil. It thematically fits really well.
Yeah. Yeah. I dig the intro as well. And I also really dig like this underlying score that we have going throughout the episodes.
Yeah.
I dig it. So, kind of like, I guess the B plot in this episode here is like the shit that's going on with Fisk and Vanessa. And like the first thing we get in the B plot here is like two goons, nameless goons, who cares? They're in a truck trying to deliver definitely not drug shipment somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they get held up by two other goons from an opposing gang. And those guys in the truck end up getting killed. Shit goes sideways. I mean, clearly, like, more happens with this B plot throughout this episode, but it just feels like the shit's gonna boil over eventually. You have to wonder where that's gonna leave Vanessa and Fisk.
Yeah, I do you see the two of them reconciling?
I'll be honest, man. And most of the comics that I read, they're always estranged.
Yeah.
It's like there's always a love there between them, but they're rarely together.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I feel like Fisk so far, like, he's been a dirty motherfucker, but like so many people really love like D'Onofrio's portrayal of him. It almost feels like a quasi face turn, you know?
Yep.
Because it's just like you kind of feel like he wants to be on the straight and narrow to an extent, you know. Other than like threatening that dude's family, he really hasn't done anything that's like evil, you know. In this show.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that might be the hat drop, is like he keeps acting like he's not like punishing her or whatever, but if he like killed her, man, if he like murdered her,
oh boy,
I can totally see that shit happening.
That would be wild.
I will say too, one of the things that was so fantastic in this episode and such a attention to detail is how they continue to draw the how they continue to like compare and contrast Matt and Wilson. The knuckles, showing the knuckles was awesome. They did that like back to back, and we know how Matt's got that way, but we don't know how Fisk got that way.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
I didn't know if I had missed something in episode 2, but I was like, I don't think he did anything physical.
No, but it was so cool to see like just these little details where the characters don't have to say anything, and they feel like they're so like diametrically opposed to one another, but they are far more similar than they want to admit.
You know, and that leads us perfectly into like the next scene I want to talk about, because I love how Matt's solution for the problem he caused at the end of episode 2 is just to pretend that it never happened.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, officer.
Yeah, so what was this guy's name? Officer Powell.
Officer Powell looks like he had a bad fucking day.
He fell down some stairs.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Officer Powell?
Yes. That's correct.
But Matt is in the washroom in the precinct, I suppose, because he was visiting Hector. And he hears Powell outside the door, and then in walks Powell, and Matt's like, I might have to beat your ass in the restroom.
Yeah. Again.
And they have words here. It's an interesting conversation. I don't think Powell believes he's blind.
Yeah, he thinks he's like not like pretending to be blind, I guess.
Yeah. Which, you know, with all due respect to all those who are seeing impaired, even more so than I am, if a blind person beat my ass, I might think they can probably see.
Yeah. Oh, they just got the blind sight feet.
And a few other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was an interesting conversation, though, just because, again, Matt didn't want to beat their ass, but they left him no choice. And it's interesting now because this guy clearly knows something's going on with Matt, because it wasn't just that he can probably see. This guy clearly knows how to fight.
Yeah.
And so Officer Powell is both humbled and confused. It's a humbling, confusing ass whooping.
Yeah.
But also, he tried to kill Matt. You know, him and his buddy tried to kill Matt. And so what are they going to say if they try to out Matt? He can just come back and, you know, be like, these guys literally held a gun to my head, and where did I beat them up at the
witness's
house.
And why were they there?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. So it's kind of like they both know well enough to leave it alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Plus, like, they're going to tell him that a blind lawyer beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's, I mean, and even if it did turn out to be true, which it is true, but if it came out, you know, all the other officers are going to give them shit. You let that blind lawyer beat the shit out of y'all.
I also love how, like, the very next scene, he just throws shade all over him in the courtroom. Yeah. He's like, you know, they say in boxing, the best cure for a black eye is fast hands.
Yeah, that shit was fucked up. Yeah. And that guy just had to eat it too.
Yeah, there's nothing he could do.
Oh man. Cherry checks in on the witness. He uses drugs to coax him.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. But yeah, old Nicky, he's a fine stand-up guy, and I'm sure that he'll do the right thing by the end of the episode.
I doubt he's gonna live.
Probably not.
Because like, even though he, didn't say anything on the stand, he's still a loose end. He can still change his statement.
Yep. Absolutely. So I don't see, and plus, like, when the cops, or when Hector found, the cops and him, they were whooping his ass. Where was that going to lead?
Yeah.
We get like our first real courtroom scene, which is great.
Yeah.
I really dug all of this. So I'm trying to remember who they had on the stand first. Was it Powell?
It was Officer Powell at first.
Powell at first.
And they were cross-examining Officer Powell. Mm-hmm. Then they took a recess.
And we back.
And you guys are just imagining any sort of difference or anything like that. Everything is exactly the same.
Yeah, I don't know why you would even say something like that.
Yeah.
This is a very odd thing to say.
This is a random thing I could say.
Even though, like, just 2 seconds ago, I'm pretty sure you didn't have your sunglasses on.
I had them on the whole time. Whole episode. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just in my head. That's it.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not being gaslit right now. It's fine.
Okay, yeah. You would never.
Oh, no, definitely not. World's Greatest Co-Host doesn't even have that on his character sheet.
I think your deception skill is pretty high.
Yeah, like the Pringles. Like, hey, man, you got a drink? You good to go? You ready?
So fucked. So fucked. But we are back from technical difficulties.
Yes, we are. We have returned.
Yes.
And we were just talking about the courtroom scene here in Born Again, episode 3 of season 1.
Yes. And, things were getting tense. Things were getting pretty tense. They had Officer Powell up there on the stand, and he was lying like a motherfucker.
Yep. And then they brought up Nicky, and he was lying like a motherfucker.
Yep. And, the crazy thing about that part is we go through all this malarkey to get Nicky there just for him to get on the stand and continue to cooperate with the NYPD.
Yeah.
Continue to lie his ass off.
Do you think he just wanted some drugs, or you think he just kind of went along with it until he got up there and then got intimidated?
That's exactly what I think happened. Yeah, I think that maybe he did have good intentions to get up there and to do the right thing. But I think when he got up there and saw all those officers, he probably got some looks from the crooked ones. And I think that probably set him straight.
What is your opinion on the one officer that Matt hears turn, to the officer next to him and say, Nicky Torres,
yep.
Can't testify, and we see the Punisher tattoo on his neck.
Yeah, and that's not even the first time we see it. We'd also see it when Cherry first goes to visit Nicky. We see graffiti on the wall behind him.
Yep.
I think that they're probably going to discuss at certain lengths cops using the Punisher logo as their own thing. Yeah.
Obviously, like the show, I feel like they had to comment on at some point the real life implications, like where that symbol's been adopted or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think Frank is going to love it.
I don't think so either. And that's the thing about it, right? And I love, at least at this point, like the show's not being heavy-handed with it.
Right.
But I love what they're doing with that, because any police officer who thinks that adapting Frank Castle's tactics is a good thing as a police officer, you are dirty as fuck.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be on the force.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah, you are, that makes you a deranged lunatic with a loaded gun.
Right.
And I mean, that crooked cop, clearly he was crooked. He didn't want Nick Torres testifying. He's corrupt. You know,
Yeah.
he's dirty, and he's got the Punisher logo on him. I think that Punisher is really going to be pissed because they're making his name bad.
Right, yeah.
You know, which is saying something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then the next thing we get here is him talking with Cherry and Kirsten. And he, they're kind of all out of options. And he's like, look, we put the man on the stand, let him tell his side of the story, and hope the jury sees him the same way we see him.
Yeah.
And, of course, Matt at this point has, of course, already decided that he's like got to out him as White Tiger.
Yeah. That threw me for a loop. I did not see that coming.
I didn't see that shit coming either, but when he explained it, it made complete sense.
It did, right? But in the moment, man, did that feel a little hypocritical.
Oh yeah, and the judge and the district attorney, were livid.
Oh yeah,
understandably.
When the judge calls like an immediate pause in the court, calls for like an immediate recess, and has the DA and the defense attorney come to my office.
Yeah, that's usually not good.
Not good. And especially like the judge said, you put on this fucking dog and pony show after you got on your high horse talking about we can't let this get out. We got to keep the White Tiger stuff under wraps. You do all that just to out him here.
Yeah,
it was wild. I really like the scene though. And I mean, I think that probably was what won Hector the case. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, you say what you want about the method, but Matt gets him off,
Yeah.
And he was in the right the whole time anyway, you know?
And, I mean, that and plus having, like, people who White Tiger has saved come up on the stand, that also was, like, a huge deal.
Yeah, that was absolutely instrumental. And the guy that plays him is Camar de los Reyes.
Yeah.
Who unfortunately passed away. This is his last role.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate, man, because I thought he absolutely killed it as this character.
Absolutely. Yeah, he did great here. And, I mean, like, this... Yeah, he was, like, such a great casting for the White Tiger character. But, yeah, so the whole courtroom scene I thought was really tremendous.
Yeah.
Matt did some shit that I didn't see coming. Now, like in between, I guess days 2 and 3, when Matt is talking to him, this is after he's outed him as White Tiger. He says, you can never wear that outfit again. Like, you know that, right?
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember thinking to myself, that's true. Hey, I remember in the trailer seeing him put on the mask, though. We haven't seen that yet.
Right, yeah. I was thinking that same thing. I was like, he's not going to do it. And it's so interesting, like, the dialogue here between the two of them, how layered it is, because, he doesn't know that he's Daredevil.
Yeah.
But he's just like, you can't possibly understand what it's like. Like, that's, that's who I am. That's the real me or whatever. And you can just feel it eating at Matt.
Yep.
Yeah, he's trying so hard not to show that that's happening because he knows exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah. And he still has that broken devil horn that he's been fiddling around with, And
they keep trying to make us think that, like, and it's not just that. It's also Matt trying to convince himself. It's like he continuously is trying to convince himself that he's not the devil.
Yep.
But if if Daredevil was gone, like he had no interest in being that person anymore, he wouldn't have that horn.
Exactly.
And we keep seeing him playing with the horn.
Yep. Why keep it if it no longer means anything to you?
Right.
I agree. So yeah, we already talked about how Nikki is a lying piece of shit. Oh yeah. Going back to Fisk and Vanessa real quick here. Vanessa. They do have conversations about like some super expensive fancy painting that's I guess going on sale. And Vanessa's first instinct is like, I can flip that and like launder $200 million in dirty money. And Fisk, he is keeping on his whole straight and narrow thing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And then they have more words, and then is it Alex, her boo thing, who she allegedly cheated with?
Adam.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah. He's brought back up again. Do you think that Fisk is trying to get back at Vanessa for having an affair?
I think he is going to, or already did, kill Adam.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting the game that he's playing right now though, because he almost seems more season 1 Fisk than season 3.
To an extent, yeah. He's so much more careful than we kind of got used to seeing. Because Matt really, beginning of season 1, he's just like, people are scared to even say his name. And right. Matt brings that rage out in him to the point that he can't be careful anymore. He can't contain himself.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts to get sloppy.
Yeah. And I also feel that in season 1, Fisk was he felt like he came off more timid for at least like the first half of the series.
Yeah.
But then, he like Matt let the devil out.
Right.
And history was made. I don't know how well their counseling is going, and this has nothing to do with anything. But their counselor was fine as fuck. Did you see her?
The
marriage counselor who they're seeing.
It's the same girl
from the first episode of the
episode that Matt is dating. It's the same girl.
Oh yeah, it is Heather. Yeah. Why, she looked so different in this scene.
Yeah, she just had a nice outfit on.
Okay, that does it. nice blouse.
She is a looker though.
Yeah,
for sure. A little eye candy for the show.
Yeah. Speaking of which, after they get Hector off, which again, congrats to Hector for his time in freedom.
Yeah, all afternoon of it.
This man couldn't go not even a single week.
Right now, what's really interesting too, though, is like Fisk is watching the acquittal on TV, and he sees Matt there, and he's pissed.
He's immediately pissed, and he wants to talk to BB.
Yeah,
which is interesting because I don't know what he really expects to come from that.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like he seems like maybe he wants to give her kind of an exclusive or something like that.
Or maybe he's just trying to send her down a trail where he doesn't out Matt Murdock.
But she does.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be wild.
Yeah.
And that way he can still keep his hands clean. I didn't do it, Matt.
Yeah.
I told you I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it was this reporter. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so... Oh, also, before we move on from like the courtroom proceedings, Hawkberg, I think, was the name of the prosecutor.
Yeah.
His counter argument was gruesome as fuck.
It really was.
It was like unnecessarily gruesome, and also like I feel like he gave a real bad false equivalency for his counter argument.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, I get up and I go to work and kiss my wife and play with my kids and I go to church on Sunday and visit my mom.
Like, do you also murder police officers? Like, what's the point you're trying to make here?
Yeah. And he's like doing all that. Does that make me a good person? I mean, nothing about that really indicates that you're a good person.
Right, yeah. His argument, you could tell that... I don't know. I think on the average, like simple-minded person that's not going to think about it, probably compelling.
Yeah.
But that shit at the end where he's like, "Oh no, you stay alive until they back the train up or whatever." I was like, "Man, I don't think so. Actually,
yeah, I think they're dead.
I think you die immediately."
Yeah. And I don't know like what the logistics are, but I just assume that you explode like a bag of meat.
Yeah.
If you get hit by a train.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just get instantly you're just gore.
Yeah. Like hopefully a tooth survives so they can
identify you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was real gruesome stuff. To his credit, though, he didn't know that the White Tiger shit was going to be outed until Matt did what he did. So,
also the thing that kind of undoes like every movie and TV show ever that's ever featured somebody being thrown in front of a train like that. But newsflash, folks, trains don't go through train stations at that speed.
They do not.
They don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, clearly that train wasn't going to stop at that station.
Right, yeah.
Now, granted, they do be cruising.
Yeah, but...
They do be cruising, but not...
not like that.
Yeah. And I mean, also, it wouldn't matter.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that guy was dead either way.
But, like here and then like in House of Cards, it's like, oh, yeah, trains go through these train stations at like 90 miles an hour. Like, no, I think the max they probably can go is probably like 15, something like that, through the station. If they're not going to stop, and that's a rare scenario that a subway just like goes through the station and doesn't stop there. I'm not saying it doesn't happen ever, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I was thinking back to like my time in
New York.
Yeah,
New York.
Yeah. And New York, yeah.
New York.
And I quite frankly don't remember. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, so yeah, we already talked about this, but Fisk sees the trial's conclusion and he wants to see BB. And we don't really see like the conclusion of that.
Yeah, we don't really see it. We don't see them sit down at all.
We do, I thought.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she does come in there. Yeah. Okay.
Matt and Christine have dinner. It's just something about this girl that like she has like amnesia face on me, because remember when we did episodes 1 and 2, I think I said her name was Heather.
Right.
And apparently that's not nowhere close to Christine.
Yeah, it's not.
And then here I'm like, hey man, you see this counselor that's with Fisk and Vanessa?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna let it roll.
Well, I appreciate that.
I get it. All attractive white girls look the same.
To a degree. Yeah, they have dinner. You know what? It's my Matt Murdock coming out, because I can recognize her facial features as much as he can.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. He might be better at it.
Probably.
Yeah. But Foggy is mentioned.
Yeah.
And
Matt's cooking dinner.
Yeah, Matt is making. I don't know how safe that is, but Matt is making dinner.
This motherfucker, like, it's just crazy, like, the lengths that he goes to convince people that he can't see.
He technically cannot see.
That's true. But just the fact that, like, the disability aspect of it, where he's, like, feeling around for the bowl. Oh, okay, here it is,
Right. Yeah. Like, because, stuff like that, he would easily know, the cup is right here.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you were to play him in like Mario Kart, you would stomp his dick in the dirt every time.
I don't know about every time, because the thing about Mario Kart is like all the sound is very distinctive.
It's true.
So I think after a little bit, I think he will fuck you up actually,
especially if you're on the same course.
Yeah.
He might after a while. Yeah. That's right, folks. Only here can you hear people talk about Matt Murdock playing Mario Kart.
Yeah. Virtua Tennis. You'd fuck him up at that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Maybe Mortal Kombat, or like, a side-scrolling fighter.
See, if you play a fighting game against Matt Murdock, you're gonna beat him. He is gonna lose. And then he's just gonna be like, we should just do this in real life. And then he's going to beat the dog shit out of you.
All right, Matt. I'll let you win a few games.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
just let him win a few. This will be fine.
He'll calm down.
Yeah.
So the conclusion of this episode sees Hector immediately putting on his White Tiger outfit. By the way, this man has also just recently acquired the money to buy the home for him and his family.
I know.
And so many people have said so many good things about him, police included, in their affidavits. And he gets off scot-free because he is an innocent man, but he can't stay away from fighting crime. He puts on the white tiger outfit to go patrolling, and he hears like a scuffle and a lady screaming, and he goes to investigate. And when he comes down the stairs, there's someone standing on the edge, and they don't hesitate to shoot him directly in the head.
Yeah, I guess that amulet doesn't give him like supernatural protection.
It does not. No.
I was like, man, I don't know a lot about the amulet, but
the amulet was made before bullets, you know.
Yeah, clearly.
I thought it was one of the police officers that set him up.
Yeah. Agreed.
And technically, it still could be.
Oh, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way that it's Frank under there.
You don't think there's a chance at all that Frank did this?
I think it's very slim. Like, what reason would Frank have to kill? I mean, like, I know that him and Matt aren't like on the same page morally or whatever, but like, obviously Frank, I don't think would look at this scenario and go, "Oh yeah, this dude's a cop killer," and Matt helped him get away with it. You know. Yep. Frank probably knows these motherfuckers are dirty if he's looking in on the situation at all.
Oh, for sure.
And especially if he's finding out that they're running around wearing his shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would really piss him off.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance that this is Frank. Also, if this is Frank, there's no way Marvel doesn't show his face right here and like have that be the big lead-in for the next episode.
Yeah. And that's probably like the biggest smoking gun right there, you know.
Yeah, the face was covered.
Yeah. Why?
So we got episode 4 coming up, and then the week after that is another double. Oh. They're playing 5 and 6 the same day. So something important has got to happen to justify them releasing 2 episodes at one time.
Agreed. Yeah. Huh.
I will say I hate waiting a week to
week
to find out what happens. I get why they're doing it, but like having to wait and not being able to just binge the show, man, this shit hurts.
Yeah. So the internet has been interneting again.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Not again.
Again. And I think that this is one of those instances where maybe they are looking too deeply into things. But I want to get your thoughts on this. So I was aware of this storyline, but I wasn't aware of all of these details. So there's a storyline in the Daredevil comic books where Vanessa does fake Foggy's death to the degree that Matt even says he heard his heart stop beating.
Right. Just
like how here in episode 1, we see Matt on the rooftop listening and he hears Foggy's heart stop beating.
Yeah.
But it was an elaborate fake done by Vanessa. And it was done in issue 438. And there's an instance in that same episode where I think it is Matt and Karen or maybe all 3 of them. They pass by something.
And it's their building number.
It is their building number. Yep.
Yeah, I have seen this.
Okay. Now this could be coincidence.
I don't think it's coincidence, but I think it could be misdirection.
Yeah, I think it's just a wink and a nod.
Yeah. If that death was faked, I feel like it's going to cheapen it so much. The amount of explanation they would have to do.
Right. He got shot with a high caliber bullet
through the chest.
Yeah.
And like
he didn't make it to the hospital.
Right. And this isn't like where, you know, they see him get shot or whatever and like, oh, the ambulance comes and grabs him immediately and then we just get Karen, you know, oh, he didn't make it, blah, blah. No, like he's laying on the pavement bleeding all over her. Mm-hmm. If it was fake blood, she would know that. Yeah. You know, how do you explain the heart stopping? You know, if he really was shot and like they're saying they were able to resuscitate him, that's crazy. Like
right.
Because like that was like right there, man, like right through the heart, basically.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that shit.
No. Foggy's gone, and then other people have pointed out that apparently both he and Karen are coming back for season 2, and I'm like, there are these things called flashbacks,
and I think they will do some of that.
Yeah. But no, I'm with you. I think he's definitely dead.
I want him to be definitely dead. I mean, obviously, like I don't want Foggy to be dead, but like for the sake of the show and the story and everything,
Yeah.
it's just going to work so much better if he is. Like, the only way that they can really have him come back and have it be even remotely convincing is if, like, the Hand brings him back just to fuck with Matt. you know?
Yeah. Oh, and what if they made Foggy into a ninja?
Fucking Eldon Henson just comes out from around the corner.
Yeah.
He's the new Iron Fist.
Oh,
Foggy Nelson's
no.
the new Iron Fist.
They're just making anybody Iron Fist these days, I see. Really quickly here, I want to talk a little bit about how this plays out in the comics.
Okay.
So I think it is equally as compelling in the comic books as they did here. And I think the show did a great job with this White Tiger storyline. So in the comics, the way it happens is he is trying to stop two guys from committing a burglary at a pawn shop. And first, these two guys were in the pawn shop, and the cop comes in and tries to stop it. There's a struggle, and one of the goons kills the cop. And White Tiger comes in and tries to apprehend the two goons. They end up running out the back, and then two more cops show up, and they just see the dead cop laying there, a gun at White Tiger's feet, and the blood splatter on him. And they thinking that, okay, well, this is definitely the guy.
White costume, maybe not the way to go.
Probably not in these circumstances. Luke Cage and Iron Fist convince Matt Murdock to take the case. Matt doesn't want to take it because at this time, a tabloid is trying to out him as being Daredevil. And it's a sidebar. Matt is so fucking petty and just fucked up. He countersues the tabloid company for $400 million for defamation. This is ridiculous.
Knowing damn well that you're Daredevil.
Yeah. And you would be happy to know he is equally as smug as he is in this episode. So
he really was in this episode for sure.
But the way it plays out is they are trying to track down the two goons who got away, just like they're trying to find Nikki. And eventually, Iron Fist and Luke Cage, they are able to kind of find or get a lead on where one of them is at. But with the way that the trial is going, it probably won't be time. Matt does put up a very convincing argument. He brings in guys like Doctor Strange and Reed Richards, and they discuss being Doctor Strange discussed like the amulet and like its magical properties, and it's not psychosomatic. The man's not crazy. Reed Richards is there to talk about being a family man and a hero, and being in the public eye and shit like that. And it seems like it's going well, but it's a very close case. Matt, he is actually listening in as the jury is like deciding the fate. And Foggy tries to bring Matt some lunch, and Foggy's like, "You're not listening to what I'm saying, are you?" and Foggy knows what Matt's doing, so he says, "How's it looking?" And Matt goes, "It's not good." And Foggy's like, "Oh well, we can get him on what do they call it?
Mistrial.
Mistrial, yeah. So we have ways around this, Matt. We can if they come back and it's not good, we can figure it out." They come back, and Hector is found. He's found guilty, even though he did not do it. And Hector, he kind of loses his cool and he freaks out. He's like, "You guys got it all wrong. Like I've been saving people. I didn't do any of this." And he actually, because he's still fucking White Tiger, he gets out of the courtroom and the cops are now trying to chase him down. He knocks down a cop, grabs a gun, and at this point there's like a bunch of armed officers around him. At this point, Iron Fist and Luke Cage make it back to the courthouse, but what are they gonna do? If they intervene now, they're gonna be fucked too. Lawfully speaking. And then he goes, "You guys got it all wrong. Like I'm not the bad guy here." And he turns the gun on himself, and yeah. And then it's at a later point, Matt, as Daredevil, he finds the location of one of the goons who originally committed the crime, it's not the one who pulled the trigger, but it's the one who was still there.
Right.
And come to find out, the guy who pulled the trigger OD'd like a couple days after the heist. And Matt, he does his fucking Batman shit here and just scares the shit out of this kid. And the kid's like, what should I do? And Matt says, you know what you need to do. And so you see him turn himself in like the next day to the cops. So Hector's name is cleared, but it's
too late.
Yeah, still too late. Still a tragedy at the end of the day.
And that's kind of how it was here. And like the real life death of this actor just kind of underscores the whole thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man.
Because he did amazing here. It would have been interesting to see this character go on.
Yeah. So. Would have been, but unfortunately he is not here. Any thoughts on what's to come, man? Obviously we got Punishers at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to lead into some Frank Castle shit, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously. So yeah, next thing we know, we're gonna probably be in the middle of a murder investigation. But we'll see what happens. I think Frank has to show up at next episode or the one after that, right? I mean, at a minimum.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and we know he's in it. So,
yeah. I think because in the trailer it looks like Matt is looking for Frank.
Yeah.
And it seems like Frank is in hiding. I mean, I think that the cops disguising as the Punisher is like the perfect way to get away with killing Hector, because in their eyes it could be two birds with one stone, maybe.
Right.
Takes the heat off of them and puts it onto Frank, and maybe Matt is the one who doesn't believe Frank would do something like this.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably why he goes looking for Frank.
Probably, and then also you got to think he's probably in hiding because of Fisk and his whole anti-vigilante stuff.
Yeah. And he's also probably hiding now because people think he just killed
White Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Can't wait to see John Bernthal return as Punisher.
Yes. And whatever else they have up their sleeve.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He spoke out again about this special. So it is in fact going to be a Disney Plus special that he's getting.
But not a holiday special.
We don't know that.
I want a Frank Castle Christmas.
Let's see. We got some other holidays out there. You can do. What about a Frank Castle 4th of July?
But you do like a Home Alone, except it's like the entire NYPD is trying to get to Frank, and he's like holed up in like a hotel.
Oh no!
But all his like traps kill them.
Like a more dangerous Rorschach scene from The Watchmen.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Oh no, that's awful.
Yeah, he's just gonna be he's gonna be Kevin McAllister, but lethal.
Oh man, a Frank Castle Easter special would also slap. There's just so many ways they could go with it.
Yeah, sure. I think we should start with the Christmas special, though.
We already have a Christmas special,
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Frank Castle Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah. I like that.
It's like a bunch of like mob bosses and like corrupt politicians are having Thanksgiving dinner, and then like Frank comes in there and kills everyone, and then he like just sits down and eats their food.
And then he looks directly at the camera and goes, "You know what I'm thankful for? I'm thankful for guns and bullets,
yeah,
and the ability to kill the bad guys."
Yeah. So and now I'm gonna have another turkey leg.
Have another turkey leg.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I think they were really onto something here.
I mean, I don't know if it's something good, but we're onto something.
This is a Frank Castle Halloween. He just goes out dressed as different characters.
He dresses up as Thor. Still has a gun, but it's like a Mjolnir.
Yeah. It's a little hammer that opens up and shoots a bullet.
Oh,
like the umbrella from Kingsman, except it's a hammer.
That's great. Oh man, well,
I think we're off the deep end.
I think we are. Yeah,
it might be time to wrap this one up.
It is, in fact, time to wrap this one up.
Wrap that shit up, B.
Yeah. So that is going to be all for our review of Daredevil Born Again, Episode 3. Hollow is the Hand, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
I might have fucked that all up. Who knows? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, this breakdown, this review. If you did, don't forget to do all the things that all the other content creators ask you to do.
Yep.
Like, subscribe.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Share it.
Yep. Do all the other stuff too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tell everybody. Join the Patreon.
Yep, join the Patreon. Make sure that you're also listening on all the audio devices.
That's right. And we are going to be back next week with another double hitter. Next week, we will be back to review the second half of Season 3 of Invincible. And then later on that week, we will be right back here to review Episode 4 of Born Again. So stay tuned, motherfuckers.
It's going to be fun.
Oh, and also next week, I forgot to mention that there's a special. I won't be here for this, but Batman Ninja 2.
Batman Ninja 2, because I know you guys have been waiting on it.
Yeah, I know they've all been waiting with bated breath on that. And then here shortly, we're going to resume our throwback series. So
we will. And also we have to, of course, wrap up Andor Season 1.
Season 1, yeah.
And then at some point start Season 2.
Yep.
Probably when it comes out.
We got all the things.
All of the things. So it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. But that's going to be all for now. We will see all of you again very soon. But until next time, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And I'm Superhero Homie Caleb.